Hello everyone, Ferris Masar Way here on the Masar Way. Today we will be making Arabic pizza, also known as manakish. For your ingredients, you'll need sugar, flour, yeast, salt, extra virgin olive oil, Zatar, Monterey Jack cheese, prosciutto, and a tomato. If you tend to shop at Costco like I do, this recipe will run you around $4. Pro tip: take a screenshot of this list, and that way you don't need to write it down. And now let's act like we know what we're doing. For this recipe, we'll be using 1/2 cup of warm water, 1 tablespoon of active yeast, and 1 teaspoon of sugar. You're gonna wanna blend that all together until it's nice and uniform, and then you're gonna let it sit for 10 minutes and get nice and bubbly. If you have instant yeast, skip this step. Next, we're going to want to get started on our dough. So we have 2 cups of flour and 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Just a reminder, if you have instant yeast, this is where you'll be adding it. Add your 1 teaspoon of salt. And now for the best part: getting your hands dirty. So add your yeasty mixture to your bowl and start working it with your hands. It's gonna be sticky, it's gonna feel weird. It's just part of the process. Keep mixing until you have a nice ball of dough. Now, if you notice your dough is too sticky, you're gonna wanna add a tablespoon of flour at a time, or if it's not sticky enough and it's a little too dry, you're gonna wanna add, I'd say, a 1/2 tablespoon of water, and just keep on doing it until you get something that feels like Play-Doh. Get back to your roots. Once you have your nice Play-Doh-y ball of dough, the next step is to brush on some olive oil. I just pour a little bit, get it nice and even, flip it over, and then add some more olive oil on that side. And if you do what I did and you add a little bit too much, don't worry. It's just olive oil. Just spread it around. Next, grab some saran wrap, tightly cover it, and you're gonna want to let it sit for around 20 minutes to 30 minutes. And you're gonna notice that your dough is gonna puff up, which is just the yeast activating air pockets in your dough. So once you're ready, sprinkle on some flour, because it's gonna be quite sticky at this point. So flour up whatever board you're using. And then you're going to want to put your dough flour side down and add some more flour to the top, because the next step is to knead the dough. Now in this video I added a little bit too much flour, which made my dough a little bit harder to knead, but if you're not familiar with kneading, it's like you see, just folding your dough on top of itself for about 10 times until it's nice and uniform. For this recipe, I'm going to be cutting it into 1/8, so just cut your dough in half, cut those half pieces into quarters, and then cut those quarters into 1/8, bringing back those 3rd grade math skills of fractions. Now we have our 1/8, roll them up into a ball type of shape. Now your goal is to create little circles, something that resembles pizzas, but sometimes things just don't go according to plan. I have a roller, but if you don't, use a cleaned off wine bottle or something round. You're really just going for a nice, thin, even sheet. To make a thinner dough, just add a little bit of flour in between each roll when you flip it. My toppings today, I'm going to be using Zatar, Monterey Jack cheese, and prosciutto. And tomatoes that you'll see a little bit later because I forgot to cut them. Next, transfer your not so round pizzas to a non-stick baking sheet and brush each with some olive oil. This will help your toppings stick to your pizza when you put them in the oven. Now, just keep in mind, use whatever's in your fridge. I had Monterey Jack, which is why I used it on the first 2. Now the next 2, I'm going to use Zatar. For those of you that don't know what Zatar is, it is dried thyme, sesame seeds, and sumac. Easier just to go to your international market or Middle Eastern market and buy a bag like I did. This is the point where I forgot to cut the tomatoes originally, so just slice up a tomato, add a couple slices on each one, and if you want to make it a little bit more flavorful, add some Zatar on top of the tomatoes. Why, you might ask? Because it's delicious. Oh yeah, there's something missing. Prosciutto. Yep, lots of prosciutto. Preheat your oven to 450 degrees. You're gonna want to bake each of your pizzas for around 10 minutes or until they're golden, and then you're gonna enjoy. So we have our pizzas, magic. There we go, they're all done. You might be tempted to shove that little piece of hard work in your mouth straight from the oven, but don't. Let it cool down, but most importantly, enjoy. Thank you for watching, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, hit subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Catch me next time on the Masar Way.